Okay. So good evening, everyone. Welcome. And so hope all of you had a great day. And here we are to make it a lot more better. So today we have the final session in the Divergent series, a session on design UI UX. And the lead speaker for today is Isaac Daniel from EC third year batch. He is the design lead of DSC, DevQuest, and he's also the lead UI designer of our very own IEDC. All the posters that you've been seeing related to the Divergent or many past events, not or everything's been created by him and his team, and that is actually very little of what he's actually doing. Okay, so we'll find more about that from himself. So I hope all of you are excited for the session. During the session, if you have any sort of doubts, feel free to put it in the chats. And so, yeah, we'll start. Over to you, Isaac.
Thank you, Reshma. And hello, everyone. Welcome to the design part of the Divergent series. And I hope I'm audible. And drop a Y in the chat if you are excited to learn more about design, the fields in design, and the career opportunities in design. Drop a Y in the chat. And already seeing Y's appearing. Oh, that's great. All right. And I'm Isaac Daniel. I'm a third year electronics and communication student at Model Engineering College. And I've been doing UI design for the past more than 1.5 years now. And I'll be sharing my journey till now, where I started, what was I initially. And all right, let's get started then. So I've been when I joined college, I had no idea which clubs to join or what to do initially. So I wanted to talk to seniors more about this because there are a lot of seniors in our college who had really amazing resumes and awesome internship, who had done awesome internships. So I wanted to talk to them, but I didn't know how. So there was this orientation session where many people had talked about their previous experiences and about their journey throughout college. And I was taking down notes in my mobile and thinking on how to get started, what to do. But I didn't know how to get them. All these guys, people said that they started from somewhere, but I couldn't find my passion then. So I told myself that I would try out everything and let that find my passion. So I started to try out everything like web development, Android, all sort of stuff. So that's when COVID came. That was around March, right? The lockdown was announced, and I started learning web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, that sort of stuff from Coursera, along with my friends. So that was interesting. The point you should note that is when you get started, if you have someone with you, it would be easier because they are doing that as well along with you. So that's a great point to start path. So I started with web development, but I got certificates that made me feel that I'm doing something, but I couldn't find the passion to continue that. So I tried to attend more workshops, seminars on different topics like Android development, web development. And that's when I came across UI development, UI design. One of my friends was hosting that session. So he asked me to join that session and try it out for myself. So that's when I was hooked, and I always wanted to try out design during my school days, but I couldn't do anything back then. I was fully studious student, as you can tell maybe. But and I was I don't know, there was a field inside technology that uses design to solve problems. So that had me hooked. So I, after the workshop, I continued to learn more about it, and started learning Figma, which was the tool that they used in the workshop to uh, show how UI design is done. And so I started learning Figma from YouTube tutorials, asking different vendors and all that. And that's when I met Aditya. So when I met him, he asked me to. He was starting to build out DevQuest, so I had I joined him in building the UI of that. So there were a lot of mistakes on that, but it was a great opportunity for me to learn that and find a couple of designers, like graphic designers from different backgrounds as well. So that helped me a lot in my career path. And that's when I joined DevQuest. That was my first opportunity, I would say, in the field of design. And I hope you guys are not bored. Um, and if you have any doubts, please just drop it in the chat. I would answer them in between. Okay. And continuing from that, um, uh, by March of 2021, this year, earlier this year, I was pretty confident that I would be able to design websites and apps by myself. Even if I don't know, I was sure that I would be able to do it because I had learned more about it during the uh, six, 6 or 8 months. So I started applying for internships, jobs, or part-time stuff, freelance stuff. So that's when I started getting rejections because I didn't have any experience in the real world, right? DevQuest was part of the college project, and I was doing that only that then until then. So after applying for around 50 or 60 internships, freelance works, I think I got shortlisted for around 8 or 10 and got interview for one. I think that was that, and I couldn't move forward with that, right? So initially, when I got rejections, it was very difficult for me to accept that the career journey, right? I don't have an experience. I can complain about that. In order to gain experience, I have to work, but opportunities are very less. That's when I got an internship via recommendation by Aditya himself. He was working at this company, startup based in Kochi, and he recommended me there, and I got a internship there. So I did internship, 2 month internship there. It was pretty good experience, and after that, um, I was more confident on how to deal with design, how to move forward, what I was lacking. This those That internship provided me with what all things I should be focusing on in the future. So then I got a freelance work by one of my seniors. This is a really interesting point because you have to have a really good connection with seniors. These sessions provide you with that opportunity. So take it as you want. Like it would be great, um, uh, uh, like that it has been for me. So and I was doing this freelance work that was really great. And the most important thing is I was um, earning while I was still studying. That is a really great point. But I was not doing that for the money, but I was really hooked when I got an paid internship opportunity like that. And later, during the last this August, I got another opportunity to do internship with a company called Hyperface, which is based in Bangalore. And until last month I was interning there as a UI designer itself. And during these times, plenty of opportunities were given to me by my seniors. After my first internship, there were a lot of seniors working there as well. So they all were leads of different clubs like IADC and BSc, all those things. So I was provided with lot of opportunities, graphic designing, like poster designing, email template designing, letterheads, all those stuff. So um, I designed websites for different hackathons and other entrepreneurial events. And these provided opportunity for me to create a good resume and maintain a pretty good portfolio, I would say. And that got me the second internship, I think, yeah. And that's been my professional journey so far. And right now I'm taking a break and learning more about design. uh, yeah, so that's my design path. And the point that you should notice, even though this is a session for design, you have been attending the previous sessions, right? Like IoT, web development, Android development, entrepreneurship, all those stuff, right? So these are different fields that you can explore while still in college. You will get plenty of time, and I would say um, you can do 2-3 things while at college, right? Like learning um, different types of skills like web development or app development, or focusing on one thing. But I would suggest that you try out everything, like learn a bit of HTML coding, learn a bit of designing, learn a bit of entrepreneurial financial side of things. This All these things would provide you with a wider perspective of what the real world is about. So um, and talking about design in general, I would like to ask the question, where can you find design? Like, for example, I would say the packaging of a milk packet. That's a design, right? Similar to that, what other things can you think of? I mean, if you are looking at a laptop, that itself has been through a design process, right? Um, yep, my eyeglasses. That has design, that is designed specifically to fit, not to fall off my head, right? And there are different types of eyeglasses. Those are all these are all these things have been gone through a design process, that is ideation and research. It involves a lot of research. For the first guy who came up with eyeglasses, he must have gone through a lot of stuff, right? And another example I would say is the newspaper. The way the ads are placed, the way the main headlines are focused more, focuses our attention more. These are all design things that they use to catch our attention, right? And I have seen a question: does UI/UX need drawing skills? All right, I will be coming to that. And there are different types of design fields. Like there is animation, there is 3D designing, that is 3D rendering, all those stuff, using Adobe After Effects and Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Illustrator, illustration. These are all different kinds of design, right? So I have been a graphic designer and a UI/UX designer. So how that separates me is that I've been a UI designer as well as a graphic designer, right? So what separates me is that before that I should say what I do as a UI designer, right? So what is UI? UI is what you see in an object, right? It's the user interface. Like if you are looking at the Zoom app, right? It has all these different buttons, the way they are placed, the end button at the bottom, or at the top, um, at the corner, the share screen button, all those stuff, right? It's placed at a specific place for a reason. So these things are chosen by a UX designer or a UI designer. So it is about the look and feel. And the UX designer thinks about how a user interacts with the app. Like if you take WhatsApp for example, you go through a series of screens, right? When you click on a button, it takes you to another screen. It is a seamless process. So in order to make that a seamless process, the UX designer thinks through that. So before giving it to a web developer, an app developer, he goes through a process of a series of process in design, ideation, research, and prototyping, all those stuff. So uh, what is UI? So UI is the user interface, point of interaction between the user and a digital device or a product. That is what I just said. Just the apps or web apps that you use um, are all part of UX design. And UI means user interface, and UX means user experience. So what I'll explain what both are. UI consists of the text you read, the images, the text entry fields, how they are written. All those stuff are comes under uh, UI design. And what is UX? UX is a user experience, how the user feels while using an app, and the interaction of products and system, and what emotions that the users go through. Do they feel stressed or bored, or other emotions that they feel, right? If they are bored, they might drop out of that app, and it affects the company as such, right? So these are things that the UX designer um, makes sure that they are done properly. And this is another definition. It is a human-centered approach to design where human needs, capabilities, and behavior are given importance and accommodated in design. So it is a combination of psychology, engineering, classic design, and web design principles alike. And interaction designer is the same as saying UX designer or a UI designer. Like humans interact with each other, we spend our day interacting with people via social media platforms. That is, we are communicating with them through an interface. That interaction, the interaction with the product, that has to be smooth, right? So that is what UX designer makes sure that it runs properly. And um, yeah, here's a example of real life UI and UX. So this while UI says about the design of this cup, the user experience is bad because the eyes of this, the ears of this cup pokes the eye while using it, right? It's not while it's a good UI, it is bad user experience. I hope you guys are following. Please drop a number 1 in the chat if you guys are following so far. Oh, great. I thought I was just rambling stuff, but wow, awesome. And here is another example of what UI and UX is. So UX has this different perspectives of design, and UI covers only the design part of it. There is research involved, the structure of the whole app. All this comes under UX. Imagine a small bubble which is inside a larger bubble. So the small bubble which is inside the larger bubble is UI. The small bubble is UI, and the larger bubble is UX. So UX has this whole other perspective which comes into consideration, like the research involved, the user, how the user feels, emotions, psychology, all those stuff. So that comes inside UX, and UI is the part of implementation of that, all those research, right? That what design does, it does is it solves a problem. So this is another example, a ketchup bottle example. It's a classic example in the UI UX field. So when we use a ketchup bottle like this, we often find it difficult we have to wait for it to the sauce or the ketchup to come out, right? And while as for this design, it's already placed upside down, it won't spill itself. So even the cap design, all those stuff goes through a design process. It's been thought through, and it provides with a more acceptable design, I would say. And these are a few of the UI screens that I've worked on previously. App screens, just if you want, just rate it out of 10. Um, let us see. All right. Damn, I would take that. That's great. um, yeah, this too has a lot of UX errors. This is just about the beauty of this app. Yeah, guess which app? Soon to find out. Um, all right, moving on. And all right. So before I move on to the next session, I would like to ask a question. What is the difference between an art and a design? Who can tell me? What's the difference between an art, a piece of art, and a design? I'll wait 10 more seconds. Yes, I would say that art makes people think. Yes. What would that design do? Yes, that's also true. Yes, art expresses ideas. Art is art. That's also true. Yes, that's what Nazim Filzer said is a really great point. Design makes solution, and art is one how expresses themselves. Design is for problem solving. Exactly. So that's exactly what design and art is. Art is to be admired. It expresses the feelings of a person, and it is to be admired like that. Just uh, it's uh, it's just to be admired, and it may have a lot more to that. I'm not going to explain on art, but yes, it gives visual pleasure. Thanks for that. Design gives practical solution. So design is about solving real life problems. So in case of a UI designer or a UX designer in whole, what he does is take for example WhatsApp or Instagram. It allows people to solve the problem of connecting with them while they are far away, right? So all these that solves a problem right there. And each functionality in an app, right? WhatsApp introduced payments through WhatsApp, right? We don't need another app to do that. So it solves the problem there. So that is a classic example for how a UI designer or a UX designer solves problems. It is not only just for the UI designer, a graphic designer. For example, the posters that you saw. In order to communicate with them, communicate with you guys to that there is an event conducted for you guys to find out more about design or find out more about IoT, web development, app development, all those stuff, right? uh, we provide with you provide posters, right? Those comes under graphic design. So while graphic design is just about the art, the visual part of things, and it's just about communicating the writing through art, like illustration and those stuff, right? And but in case of UI, it's much deeper than that. It has to solve a problem. When the user uses an app, it should not have a distress period, like the user gets bored while using it or feels the lack of some functionalities, right? Everything has to be at its peak while designing an app. So that is about UI and UX and the difference between graphic and UX designers, design versus art, all those stuff. And why should you choose design as a whole, design as a career? So right now I would like to answer a previous doubt which was asked by Nazim, I think, if I remember correctly.
It
Let me check.
was
Yes,
regarding this UI UX
UI
need
UX
or
needs. Right. So while design for UX graphic designing, I would say you need something, but it can be developed, right? So for to be a UI designer or a UX designer, all you need is a creative mind. So that means a creative mind is not that some people are born with it, but I was not. I developed it by doing more about design, of learning more about that, and it can be developed. Creative mind is not something you have to be worried about right now. It can be developed in time. So to be a UX designer, you need to know zero coding, which means absolutely nothing. So when I initially I said that I also studied Python 3-4 times, but I couldn't follow up with that. And I studied HTML, CSS, all those stuff, but I couldn't find the motivation to push myself and learn more. So that's when I came across UX design, which is actually solving a problem. Web developers and Android developers also solves a problem, right? So solving a problem through UX design is what had me hooked into this. So it helped me do study, push me to learn more about this. And saying about that, I would like to discuss a few more things, the careers or the job opportunities in UI design. So UX design is something that is growing rapidly, and every company is um, wanting more and more UX designers to design their stuff without any flaws, because their current platform has some functionality issues, right? These can be solved through a UX process. So the careers in UX involves interaction designers, which is UI designer, which is what I do. I just right now I just do the design part of things. Someone else does the research and UI part, the empathizing part, but ideation part. I do the design and prototyping part. So if you want to learn more about, I just I'd like to show a sneak peek of what we did during our 6-day UI UX bootcamp. So this is Figma. If you can see the screen, is this visible, right? Or is it just the other?
No, it's visible.
All right, all right. So this is Figma, the interface of which is a pretty easy tool to learn, and it is used to design and prototypes things. So this is what we designed during our 6-day UI UX bootcamp, and these are different pages or screens, like the splash screen, the screen that you see when you open WhatsApp. It shows welcome to WhatsApp from Meta, right? And the login screens, sign up screens, sign in screens, the home screens, all those stuff. And prototyping means you can see the small animations, right? All this is done entirely in Figma itself. So this is what I do. Like I design apps, websites like this. So it's really interesting that I get to work on different stuff every time I join a new team. And even if I want to do a personal project, I can think of anything or redesign an existing app, something like that, right? So right now working on learning more about UX design and trying to switch from UI to UX. UX is a broader part, just like I said. So that's what I do. And in order to study UI, you no need to know about drawing, or you don't have to have a creative mind. It will develop over time. You will know how to use all these tools, so you don't have to worry about it right now. And like I said, zero coding, that itself has a punch to it, right? um, just let me know in the chats if you find that part interesting, that it's a zero coding part, the UX design. So for this, we didn't create a whole app. We didn't have the time. 6 days is not enough. So this was a beginner friendly class. So if you want to attend this, you can just go on to DSCMEC's YouTube page. All this is available there. Yeah. So zero coding is a something I loved myself, um, and I right even now I am still not into coding yet, but I would like to try it one more time before moving completely into UX design. You guys should do the same, explore different areas like web and app or different. There are always a lot of opportunities, right? This is not just about this coming into design, but I'm just saying about design because I chose that. Now, what else? I think I pretty much covered everything. And something I would like to add is that um, uh, what drives you? Like I would like to say um, what drives me to learn more, not just design. What drives me to in college? What am I trying to achieve? So in order to uh, explain that. You should never compare yourself with others, what others are doing. Like if someone else is learning Python or HTML or CSS and you had a shot at it, but you are not able to understand that, just try it for once. And if you are not able to do that, don't just feel bad for yourself. Just try to uh, find a new passion, or give it a second chance. Maybe you would like, maybe you would find passion in that during the second time, right? So give everything a shot, and don't compare yourself to people who do nothing or does more than you. You should never compare yourself in that case. That is compete with people who have done more. You will learning never ends. That's something I remind myself every day. Learning never ends. And the thought that I am replaceable, that little phrase, I am replaceable, that little phrase is something really gets to me every time I think about that, because it can be a negative. You can think it as a negative thing, like I am replaceable. If then why am I learning stuff? But instead of that, you can think of it that as a positive way, like if I'm replaceable, then I need to make myself an asset to whichever club or whichever company that you're working for. So if I'm replaceable, then if there is someone out there who is there is always someone out there who is better than me. So I am trying to be that person. I'm not comparing myself to that person, but I am trying to be like that. And if I ever achieve that phase, then there is also a person who is capable of doing more than me. So that's why learning never ends. And that thought that like I'm replaceable, that thought, it's in a career sense, right? Career sense, not in a um, friendship circle, or do not think of it like that. Just in a career phase, this little phrase strikes me a lot. And always aim for more. And whatever you achieve, be humble. uh, um, do not take others and your peers for granted. I'm always thankful for the opportunities that I've got so far. Like the all those I'm like you heard before, I'm design lead for multiple clubs. I'm part of multiple design teams. But everything comes with a price, because you have more to achieve. But do not over stress yourself. I would say join one or two clubs and give your best at it, and you can always do more if you want. Yes. And that's something I wanted to say. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you guys have any more doubt, please let me know in the chat.
have a question which asked whether Figma was a free tool.
Oh yes, Figma is absolutely free, and other tools involve Adobe XD and Sketch, Framer. There are different tools for that. Figma is absolutely free, and you can have a if you have an educational mail, then you can have the Pro plan as well. Okay, Hannah has something. I have done UI UX recently, but don't know how to continue with this or what to do next. All right. Um, I would suggest that you try to build a portfolio for yourself. Like if you already know UI UX, then you can always do case studies. That's what I'm trying to do right now. And case studies always helps you understand more about the UX perspective, not just the UI. You need to know more about the research part as well. So that would help you to build a great portfolio. Even if you have two great case studies in your portfolio, you will definitely get an internship for sure. When I did my first internship, I didn't have a portfolio or a good resume. So maintain a good resume, maintain your LinkedIn profile well. You will always have people asking you to join their team. I hope that answers that. And always try to learn more about UI UX. Right now, I'm trying to learn motion design, which is something really cool inside UX, and so that I have an upper hand while applying. So that's something you can also do. And for a tech student, it really comes in handy. For a design, in a design perspective, it's not that necessary, but from a tech perspective, while writing code, and all, it really comes in handy.
It does, it does. But to be honest, even when you're coding, like you'll look at the keyboard because, like, you know, all those uh, parentheses, everything requires you to press a button, and like even, but it will help you. It will help you in a long run. Like later on, if you practice touch typing now, it will help you in the long.
Also,
Any
I
other
would.
questions? Yeah. Sorry.
I just forgot to add a few things. Like if you in UX design, there is different career opportunities. Like I said, even if you are a content writer and you know how to code, having a design skill has its own opportunity inside UX design. Like there is a option called UX writer, which is specifically for content strategy and all those things. The different content that you see inside an app always are written by content strategies. They comes up with different ways to communicate with people via text, right? And if you know a bit of front end development, then there is a position called UX developer, UI developer, which means the design that you did is converted into code, which is the real thing. So you will have definitely have an upper hand if you know coding, front end coding, all those stuff. And if you know animation and you are coming into UX design, then there is an option called motion designing. So these are different. You see these small animations in Twitter. When you tap the like button, it has shows a small animations. The sliding of different screens when you use different apps. All these things are the most amazing example for using this motion designing in apps is Duolingo, which is a language learning app. It's really gamified app, the most gamified app I have ever seen. Really wonderful. You just download it and check out their UI. It's really amazing. And yeah, so there are different options inside UI, whether you are a content writer, a tech guy, and you are moving into UI design. If you are already doing graphic design, then it will be an upper hand. But it is really about the problem solving part mostly, and involving it into the design part.